And for me, I walked into the house with a 175 of vodka, and there was 3/8 of it left. And obviously, guys, I'm an American, but um, let's just say third of it on the bottom to almost half. And someone brought the question up of saying, that's going to last you 5 days, and I'm like, no, that's going to last me tonight.
Hey guys, welcome to another video. In today's video, we interview Chad Smith. Now, I'm not going to go into Chad's story too much. He does it right at the start of this interview, but he has an amazing story to tell, and he was really honest and about his personal experiences and life lessons that he had to learn, so that we can learn from them without having to go through those same experiences. And I just want to thank Chad for jumping on. And the other thing I wanted to do, because he really didn't do this until the end of the interview, is I want to promote his book a little bit. I got it myself. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I'm really excited to give it a read. You can pretty much find it on Amazon in most countries. So give it a look. Jump on his website. All the links are in the description, as well as the links to his apparel company, which he talks about in this interview. And thanks, Chad, for sharing your stories with us. Really means a lot. And I hope you guys get the same value out of this as what I did. Thanks, and enjoy. All right, thanks, Chad, for coming and doing this interview with me. I don't want to take away from your story or anything. So, did you want to start off by just talking about yourself and your story and just where you've come from?
Oh boy. So my story is very complex here. And it's we can go for hours exactly how I want to layer this together. But for simplistic purposes, and I'm a AC/DC fan, and we'll talk into rock right away. But the biggest thing with my theory is the KISS theory: keep it simple, stupid. So, or keep it simple. There's another term for that too. But my story is obviously, yes. I people that know me do not notice it, but I was a recovered addict. I was a closet addict. But what ended up happening is that, obviously I had trauma with my first marriage and all that stuff. So, I'm currently 36 years old, guys. I currently been divorced. Had extreme trauma event with my first marriage that caused the divorce. Um, yes, I not tempted suicide, but I attempted to send my car off the road, towards the house that person's living in. Also, I recovered from, now I'm 120 days, 125, or I'm sorry, 1,025 days sober. Um, so there's no alcohol in my system anymore, and now I'm actually more of an endurance athlete. So what I did is I took that extra gear that we had as addicts, and I'm gonna say addicts, but like people that tend to have issues with some sort of substance. Um, it's an addicting personality. So whether it's alcohol, drugs, pills, sex, music, whatever. I mean anything that has a rush attached to it. Um, I ended up channeling that drive and focused into a business, which is actually right behind me on the wall. And it's called Battleware Brands here, guys. And not to plug my own business here right away. I know we're going to talk about it in podcast, but it's a collaboration of my name. So in the worldview, if you type in Chad, which is my first name, the definition is battle, and then the definition number two is actually warrior. So what I did is I blended it together, and then obviously add in the brands at the end here. But what it is, it's just one of those natural drifts that it it just combinate. We created a "You Are More" movement, which is mental health. And what ended up happening is the more I share my story with people saying, I'm a recovered addict, I'm sober, I had issues with pornography, I had issues with alcohol. Obviously, the suicide thing, not suicide, but like the attempt of driving my car off the road, reclaiming my faith, all that fun stuff. Ended up creating a natural movement where people actually are directed to that. And what it is it's the pride, not even a pride in a bad way, but like I went through therapy, I went through my own personal battles, I went through which I still struggle with daily, but fitness, um, faith, all that stuff, to create my own little system. And I'm not even going to use the term system for, business wise or any of that, but for my sake, it's just a system to keep myself healthy, happy, um, and tackling each day. And what it is I explain it to people, and they're like, "Oh my God, that's me." Thank you for sharing. I have a more openness. I have approval now to go out and tell people my story. And what it ends up happening now is what I've been noticing is it's a ripple effect where, within 5 seconds, 10 seconds, people that see, me or something I represent, logo wise or whatever, no matter what, it's like a weird marketing thing. Um, they're like, "Oh my God, that's me. Thank you. Thank you for showing me." So you have that emotional tie to it, and all this stuff, man, is a oops, and I don't want to say it oops. Um, I failed many things in my life. I'm sitting here. I'm a warrior, and not the same battle warrior, but I've had my fair share of battles, guys. Starting from early age, I was never the biggest. I was never the smallest. I was always average on weight, size, all that. I was the youngest in the family, so yes, I had to scrap for a lot of my things. No, I'm not spoiled. So some of you guys that are the youngest, don't say it that way, but um, pretty much the old school hard way. Earned everything by my with some help, but like by myself. And what ended up happening is, at an early age, I ended up starting, mowing for the neighbors, figuring out that had a situation in my life where I didn't want to do it, and I knew that wasn't my passion. So I went into fishing lures, started creating fishing lures, learned how to distribute it through um, people. Had that going, had some good cash coming. I learned how to distribute to the channel, local tackle shops, and everything from marketing, labeling, all that stuff. I learned the hard way, and then venturing into more digital um, marketing space with fishing shows back almost actually 20 years ago. So, guys, I'm 36, so I had the ability to be one of the few people that actually understood having both lives. I'm going to say both lives. So, like the majority of my young life, we had technology, but not as fluent and expansion and rapidly as what we have now. So, from zero to obviously 9, 10 years old, we had the old school way. Guys, we had pay cell phone where you paid 25 cents a text and 25 cents a minute, and we call it the old bag phones, but um, where you had a big binder type bag in the middle of your vehicle, and you can get service everywhere. But old school stuff like that, where you had to go out and learn and go to your neighbors and figure out the old school way of going out and meeting people. But for me, I don't want to say sales. Sales was everyone thought out sales was the easy one for me, but I think for me it's just having a product or creating something. So I'm a creator. Some people are great at business. I'm great at creating, and it's just a natural way of how my story goes. And what it is, just a combination of everything, guys, here. So like I can go through a list of 150, 200 things that I failed at, and it created a big hurricane of a ball of you know where I'm at right now. And yes, guys, I'm normal. I'm an everyday kid. I'm in gym shorts right now and a Zoom long sleeve T-shirt with the hat backwards. But um, there's nothing special about me, guys. I went through the hard way. I messed up the hard way, and when we look at the positive side of it, is I'm very lucky to be on the other end, and very lucky to create this hurricane of all these lessons and reach back and teach people about it. So um, that's a long answer of who I am, my story, and all that stuff here, guys. But international bestseller. We're looking at recovered addict. Um, Obviously, business owner, all that fun stuff here. Podcaster, man, I didn't even break about my podcast. But guys, I love what I do, and all this stuff does not seem like work. And for me, I can jump on a Zoom or we're around right now through Google, and enjoy everything about what this world has to offer.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. There's so many things that I want to talk about now that you've told me your story. Do you mind if I dig a little bit into what you were talking about earlier with the addiction and things like that?
Absolutely, man.
Happy to
Feel free.
discuss that. So, with how long ago was it when you quit? From now, I remember you said.
Um,
I just forgot. Sorry.
from now, the exact day. Actually, I have my phone right next to you, and guys, this is kind of unprofessional, but I'm 1,027 days clean
Yeah.
currently
Wow.
at this day. So, give or take, almost, what's to say, almost 3 years, 4 years, somewhere in there. I kind of lost count. Oh yeah, 2.5 years, whatever, 2 3/4. There, we'll call her even.
Yeah, wow. And what was there a moment when you was there like did something like crash down or did something happen that made you like finally commit to making it happen? Because I think and I can't really speak from experience here, but I think addicts when they go through multiple periods where they're like I have to quit, I have to quit, I have to quit. But generally there's one big one that happens, or was it just a mental realization of like all right, now I need to take control.
No, it was a year long. I don't say year long. It was about 2.5 years long of a battle. We're looking at, obviously, at my divorce, there's a huge trauma. So for me, even though I was still hurt, I felt like I was free and felt like I was invincible. So for the first, year or two after, I would drink hard every day and go out and party and go to the bars and sports bars or whatever it is down by you. But yeah, I was up to we call them 1 liter, but half a liter bottle of vodka, if not 3/4 liter, a night. Certain situations. On top of that, I would go out to the bars and we're U.S. dollars, but drop 100 150 at the bars. Um, and the thing about it was there was for the 2 years of me up to cleaning up, it was a mental thing, and if any of you guys have any faith backgrounds or believe in God or all that, I'm a spiritually sound kid, and I deal with a lot of stuff weekly and very involved with my church. But with that, there was a repeated verse that kept showing up on my phone every day. And it was every once a month. It started once a month, and it came every couple of weeks. And to me, that was him saying, "Dude, you got to clean up. You got to clean up. You got to clean up." And some of you guys that are in the Bible understand, but it's be strong, be vigilant, be sober. I'm just paraphrasing half of it, but that kept getting dropped on my phone, and friends keep sending it over. I had my mother asking I should clean up. I had friends asking I should clean up. And when you're in this party mode, guys, and you're pretty much nicely saying giving the middle finger to everyone that is helping you at the time. And guys, it's a journey. And I'm not saying guys and gals. I'm just, when I say guys, it's everyone. It's a journey. You're going to go through growth spurts. You're going to go through pain and periods and stuff. And for me, I just felt that I could put on a mask and just Robin Williams, it is the best way of saying it. Just put on a mask and go be free. And the best way of saying it is, you know, Jim Carrey is one of my favorite actors with Robin Williams, but the movie Mask literally is exactly what it was for me. You'd be all calm during the day. You put that alcohol up through you, the mask comes on, and you not turn into this insane dude, but the anxiety drops, the chattiness gets kicked in, the ladies' man kicks in, which didn't really help at that time because I wasn't used to being around that crowd. Honestly, I wasn't used to, but I didn't really take inventory of the crowd I was around. Some great people, friends and stuff that still made it through, and they're believing in me now. But there's a lot of random nights where I didn't wake up at home, and I'll be completely honest. And to me, it was fun. To me, it was a rush, and it took to finally, getting some personal stuff involved with some family. With my family, they actually, for once, and I'm not going to give exact details of what happened, but the addiction was actually in the forefront. It was I call it the deer in the headlights look here in the States, but there's an animal that walks in front of you, it kind of looks at you and you're like, what the heck happened? And time stops. And for me, I walked into the house with a 175 of vodka, and there was 3/8 of it left. And obviously, guys, I'm an American, but let's just say third of it on the bottom to almost half. And someone brought the question up of saying, that's going to last you 5 days, and I'm like, no, that's going to last me tonight, and then I'm gonna go buy some more. And what ended up happening with that situation is, I was arrogant at the time. I put the bottle right in front of everyone, and I had about a dozen people look at me like I was a deer in the headlight. And there's some few situations behind it, but I ended up almost cleaning that up, jumping in my car, um, driving home feeling great, actually. And I'm not being sarcastic how I say that, but I was two sheets to the wind is the best way of saying it. Um, Driving home drunk with one headlight out, which typically is normal, and you didn't catch it, but I ended up pulling into my parents' driveway at the time. I was still living at their house, trying to rebuild after the divorce, and my brain just wanted to fix the headlight and go back to the bars. And I don't know what the heck happened. I don't know if the alcohol kicked in or I just had another drink and passed out or whatever. But um, it's kind of sad at that moment was kind of my tipping point. Um, that wasn't the last time I ended, but I ended up doing some things behind the scenes, and my family knows about it now. But um, getting someone that helped me through the growth curve that's part of the family, and ended up doing some things that I didn't know there were some issues behind the scenes with at the time. Someone through their work, and just went through a circle that I shouldn't have went through, and did some things that I shouldn't have did. And nicely saying that person says, you got to stop, or nicely saying I will disown you type in different terms. But um, when you're at the peak of your addiction, um, there's certain people that you thought that would not be as, not say as supportive, but like not being your resource. This certain person was the person that got me to the town I wanted to get at, or the person that I was looking to moving in the town that I was getting at, which I did. But um, you never thought you had a emotional relationship with that certain family member, and someone that I looked up to kind of dig through, and was very supportive. I ended up letting down.
Mm.
That's the correct way of wording it. And ended up being that I didn't at the time I didn't want to let my family know. And when you have it in the forefront, and all of a sudden it just opens up, all of a sudden, like I can remember this to this day. I can remember exactly when it dropped. Like it literally feels like someone just took 12 punches and just punched you in the gut. And your air just gone, your movement gone, time stops gone. You just feel like you're, 1 millimeter tall. And I didn't want to let that person down, without getting in depth how I was wording it earlier. But close family member, which we're still close to this day. And I didn't, it was more of a, yeah, personal closeness, just letting them down.
Yeah, yeah. And then what would you say? Say, for example, if someone, I think most people that are going through things like that don't feel the confidence to actually ask for help, and maybe that they don't need help from a certain individual, but I think people need encouragement to push in the right direction. What would you say to somebody who was, let's say they're depressed, they're starting to, or they are actively using alcohol, whether it's binge drinking or things like that, because they're not happy with their life, they're not happy with their situation, and they're using that as a way to get out? What would you say to somebody who's going through that and thinks that there isn't an option for them, or there isn't a solution?
Well, and obviously I'm more mature in this walk now. I'm almost, like I said, 3 years into it, but there's two sayings that are coming in my mind at the time. Actually, a couple sayings here. At the time here, guys, you do not know what's waiting on the other side. So you're sitting there going, taking pills, drinking alcohol, depressed, whatever it is. first and foremost, guys, for you to change whatever you got to change, you got to control you. You're taking that spotlight. The reason why that issue's occurring is there's emotional relationship, or there's a public perspective, public perception, trauma in the past, whatever it is that is causing you to feel like you're not enough. I still battle with depression daily. Guys, I literally still have it. To me, it's a lifelong battle. And to me, you seriously have to lock down. There's days you're up, there's days you're down. There's the further along the walk, what I looked at is using the divorce was kind of like a pre-learning thing for it, because the divorce was I would wake up and I would have 4 bad days and 1 good day. The next week I would have 2 good days and 3 bad days. And what ended up happening, the good days started stacking the bad days. And yeah, there's days I still fall. There's days there's storms come and I feel like I'm not good enough. You guys should not hear the self-talk I usually say in my head, and that's just, it is what it is, guys. Yeah, everyone can admit to that. Um, but each wake up in the morning, be grateful to wake up. If it's the universe saying thank you, tell the universe thank you. For me at the time, I woke up, I jumped into the Bible right away, and I had a one good daily scripture, and then I prayed and I said, thank you, man. Thank you for giving me this day. And then the gratefulness just started piling up like winds. And the more it is, the more you finally start figuring yourself out. Um, the thing I was going to get at is I didn't learn it till about a month ago. I wish I would have paid attention with more or less Brown back in the day, but um, his favorite saying is, it's if you're going to fall on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. So guys, even when you're in the middle of an addiction, you're spinning, you're high, you're doing whatever, and it feels like the world's going to end. If you do clean up here, guys, there's going to be a beautiful life waiting on the other side. You have no clue what you're going to do. I had no clue exactly what I was doing at the time. Um, if I look at the person I am now and I looked at the person I was at that time, then that person look at me and say, "What the hell did you do? How did you do that? Why did you do that? And who the hell are you?" Nicely, and it's when you understand that the mission and the clean, being sober is much bigger than just yourself. Um, you end up starting to feel people that are in the middle of a struggle. Like I'm training for marathons, so that's during my training I would run past some homeless people with alcohol on the side, and usually I didn't pay attention to it, but there was one day I saw the bottle of vodka just empty and the dude's passed out on the side, and it literally, that same punch that I felt with my term, I felt at that moment, and there was a voice inside my head say, "Dude, you gotta come back." And I had a situation after that where I had a 10, but after that event was done, I actually went back, went down to the guy, and I noticed a few things. So, like, the biggest thing with addictions and stuff, guys, when you clean up, you physically have to disappear for a while. I literally, thank God for COVID. Lockdown occurred when I was right at the beginning of cleaning up. I went into the basement. I focused on eBay. I focused on anything that could make a buck just to kind of get my mind away from being on the alcohol. Steve Harvey was a great motivational guy for me. Um, but the thing is, you have to disappear just to let those friends that are bugging you kind of venture away and grow away. Um, you're going to lose friends, and you're going to lose a lot of friends. And I'm going to be 100% honest with that. There's going to be friends that you thought were friends down the road. They'll end up starting to be a detractor. And then there's key ones that will disappear during the time just to kind of let you grow, and then they'll come back a couple years down the road. I still have some friends that I grew up with that they know I'm clean. They don't care, and it doesn't bug me, and it doesn't bug them. Um, but you start taking inventory exactly what's in your life, who you're surrounded by, what's the environment, and look at how do I attack this selfishly. And I'm not being selfishly, like in school we're taught to be they're like selfish, help others. There's almost a reverse role when it comes to tackling addiction, that people with the most trauma like to help others, and it's a great thing. You got to have a soft heart. You got to feel the emotion, you feel everything. But in order to help people, you have to help yourself first. And that's the thing that has disappeared in our education system. Um, the key mental health is if you're happy, you're gonna excel at everything. You're gonna find what drives you. You're gonna drive, you're gonna find what makes you push to the next barrier. And in course of that, you're gonna find what fits in your life. Whether it's God or the universe is gonna bring something in your life that just blends everything together like a hurricane. And you have this big concoction of a recipe. And then, but there's certain things that the school system or education system holds out and kind of doesn't teach. And the thing about it is, I noticed I was different, and for me, hands-on learning was the best way of learning. You give me a book and remember, I won't comprehend it. You give me something visually or audio, I will comprehend it. And what ended up happening is, we go back to the original perception where you're trying to live someone else's life, and you almost leave your own body, and all of a sudden now you're in a depression because you're trying to live someone else's expectation instead of saying, hey, I am different, I am amazing, this is awesome, and these are my strengths, and this is what I'm good at. I still joke and say I'm not real good at financial stuff, but I'm very good at, you know help, not say talking to people, but I'm very good at being driven and focused, just because I notice, as a recovered addict, or someone in the past that had addiction issues, no matter what, you tried to go get something. So like, it wasn't a try. You want to drink, you got to drink. It don't matter if you're broke or not. You would dig in a tray next to you, get like a $2 worth of stuff, go to the bar, have a beer, whatever the situation is. You found a way to get that high. And for me, that's where my focus is, and that's where my drive is, to how do I keep myself uncomfortable, and how do I grow myself and focus on myself. And the people that are healed understand that, and not say healing, but the people that are in that walk, spiritually sound, mental health, universe, whatever it is that they believe in. Um, when they're on that walk, they understand it and they can see it, and they want to join you. You become a leader of one, which is yourself, and ended up being, you start bringing in people behind you, and you don't even know, and people are looking up at you, which is cool. But you just be yourself, um, and you develop who you are.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Do you think that, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but do you think that going through that experience shaped who you are as a person today and made you stronger? Or if you could do your life over again, you wouldn't go through all that?
Oh, dude, I would do it again.
Yeah.
I'm 100% person right now. Would go through exactly what I went through in my first marriage. Would go through exactly what I did with my alcohol. Would go through exact, as much as I want to complain about my student loans. I would do exactly what I did in college, and I would do exactly what I did in high school. Because in this walk, that these little, you're being prepped. You're not even knowing this, but whether it's God or universe is taking you through these things to prep you for exactly who you are. I'm not the final project, dude. Like, I can die tomorrow, and then I know I'm the final project. But you become so present, and except when you're racing like me, where I get a little excited knowing that I have a marathon in 48 hours. But besides that part, it's pretty much okay. Thank you for today. Go get everything situated for today, and just make the best decision based on what you love to do today. So take yourself on a date. Go on a vacation by yourself. Go on top of a mountain and drop your pants like I did. I mean, you got to have some fun, and
Mm.
don't be afraid to put on a costume. We have a Christmas movie here in the States called Christmas Story, which a dude dresses up like a bunny, and I ended up buying that costume for Christmas, and it was cool. It was funny, but yes, I was still drinking at the time. But humor is actually a great way to get the pain out, and just make it fun for 20 seconds, 30, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is. It don't matter if you win or not at that time. Just have fun. Like, you
I think
learn.
adding the humor to it too takes away it takes away the strength of the emotion that you initially attach to it. yeah, it removes yourself from that sadness for a second. You realize, oh wait, if I can make this humorous, then maybe I don't actually have to be sad.
That's why I loved Robin Williams so much. Is and if you look at anyone that had a mental health struggle, Heath Ledger was awesome in Batman Returns or whatever the one where he was the Joker. Um, and yes, we have two. We're not bipolar, but there's two different characters in our head. There's a good happy calmness one, and I grew up a wrestling fan, and there's a in wrestling there's a heel and face. Face is what people like. A heel people what people hate, and for me in that situation is I can be a great person around people and understand and have fun, and also I can flip that switch and be a complete rebel and rock music loud person and scream to your Megadeths, your Metallicas, your ACDCs, whatever it is that you can just complete flip and turn into a metalhead and just I call it grip and rip, but go to the gym and just tear machines apart. You have to have that animal in you, and that's one thing I miss, especially with marathon training. I'm happy for it to be done in the next couple of days because I miss the gym, but you just there's a line inside of us. There's just a beast, and I don't want to keep quoting Eric Thomas here, but there's a beast here, guys. Like all of a sudden, you'll see this little layer, this little dark person in you that's going to show up that you just want to run through the community, tear shit up, just create your own path. Um, Not blow stuff up, but just grip the bars and just take yourself to a new level. And every one of us has it. You just whether you're going to wake up and wake that person up or not. But there's an animal in me, and I kind of blend it together, and it's a happy balance because obviously my name means battle warrior. So I can go from a very good, nice person to the warrior and just flip that switch and go through and just completely be very tunnel vision. And I call bulldoze through people. And it's not, I don't want to say it in a bad way, but it's the inner drive that you just start learning about yourself, and you just see like there's a tunnel vision and focus and zone that you get that it's like, okay, the warrior's up, the mask is on. Let's just show everyone, who the hell I am. And that's, it's a very disciplined image with that. You just learn the further along with the walk you have, the more you can shut them off and just kind of put them on the shelf. And then when it's time to bring them out, you can bring them out. And that's the best way I'm explaining it. And that's the thing you get in a zone. You get in a zone with this product, let me hold on. My voice is leaving here. Hold on.
You're right. I think the other thing I wanted to go into as well is I'll come back to the business side of things in a minute, because I think that's a good transition from your story, how you went from those periods of your life into the business. But I wanted to quickly ask, what's the marathon that you're doing, and how big is it?
It is the Fox Cities Marathon here, guys. It's a hometown I grew up in. What it is, it's a marathon through 4 or 5 back-to-back towns that are all tied together in the Fox Valley. Fox Valley for us is Neenah, Menasha, Kimberly, Appleton, Little Chute, and it's a big circle where you take off, and for us it's 26.2 miles. I don't know what it is in kilometers. I never pay attention, but for me it's a challenge, and for me I look at it as when that zone kicks in, and I'm gonna say zone, but like for me it's there's a couple ways to get to the top. And what I've learned is no matter what, walking up to the top, you become an author. You're at 3% in the world. You run a half marathon, you become 1% in the United States. You run a full marathon, you become 0.1% in the whole world. If you want to be at the 1%, you're going to have to start doing the 1% things. The financial part will always be the last one that's going to show up. You got to take care of your mind. You got to keep yourself in shape. And to be honest, it's a long run. It's a draining run. I am not a runner. I'm an endurance athlete. And for me, my goal, this is my first one. Runners could be like, hey man, 3 hours, I'm done. This one I'm looking at 4 hours to finish just to get the routine in my head. And then next year when I plan for an ultra, which is a 32 mile plus, um, to me, I will train for that. And then if I want to go into a marathon, I can just jump into it because the training's already advanced past what I'm already doing. So it's just a learning block of exactly where the people are, what's required to get to that next level.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, tell me about the business and what's the business actually do? What sort of the customers that you serve and the mission behind it?
Yeah, give me 2 seconds here, man.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you guys are looking for the profile, and there's a word in the industry which it's a huge movie that came out, and I can't think of what it's called, but where people kind of change into a different character, and they become digitalized, and I can't think what they call it. It was huge a couple years ago.
I'm not actually sure what you're referring to. I'm trying to think.
Well, either way, my business is actually so the thing with Battle Warrior Brands is, like I said, it's a hurricane of things that kind of got blended together. But what it is, what it was, and where it is now. What it was at the beginning was a fitness-based company, looking at the space of fitness supplements with apparel second. And what ended up happening was I jumped onto a design, which was a marketing oops for us, for myself, and I didn't realize it, which created the which created the UR More movement, which I support through worldwide. But what it is Battle Warrior Brands. It's a profile of people that are 20s and 30s and 40s that went through mental health through the whole gamut. And what it is people that are proud to where the brand is saying, hey, I was a battle warrior. My journey was terrible. Look what I'm doing now. You can survive it. You can go through it. And what it is, it's an apparel based company. Like the big major ones here in the States. And what it is, I made the 100% direct switch back to apparel about a month and a half ago, and I'm not looking back. It was a great transition. I shelved the first try of exactly what I want to do with the supplements. It was, my distributors are great. There's no bad feelings whatsoever with it. It just wasn't where my heart was. My heart is apparel, and so yeah, I'm a apparel based company that supports mental health initiatives across the whole United States and worldwide. Um, so what it is we have Facebook groups called the You Are More Movement, and what the Facebook group is, people on there that went through something or currently going through something. And if you're in a depression or you need help, it's a I don't want to call it a nonprofit. It's not even that. We're not quite designed. We're still kind of sloppy with how exactly what we're doing on the whole business side of it, of the structure of it. But it's an organic group that people come together and lift everyone up, and be open about what their struggles are, be open about exactly what they're going through, how they overcame it, what they need to do to overcome it. Try ideas of how to overcome it. So that's UR movement, which are UR More movement. My accent kicked in a little bit there, but which is through the Facebook group. But Battle Warrior Brands is the host of that. But Battle Warrior Brands is exactly, like I said, the host of all that stuff, and that's my baby, because I am the Battle Warrior, and with that, we have brands that support mental health initiative through the whole world, and I non-selfishly, guys, I want everyone to wear my apparel. Yeah, I think everyone wants that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. How big's the company? Have you got like a fair few staff, or
I'm sorry, what was that?
how big's the company? Like, have you got how many staff have you got? Like, are you? I assume you're mostly digital, but you're pretty much international from what I can
Yeah,
tell.
I'm actually all 100% me right now with some few volunteers, which I still work full time. We're in a transition period where I need to have that job for the next year or two just to kind of transition financially. But yeah, it's give me 2 3 years, I will be 100% full time on Battle Warrior Brands,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
m-
It
my
sounds like
goals.
you're building a brand, which which that takes time, but it pays off a lot more than just creating a business, you know.
Yeah, and I'm doing a little old school way. Um, I'm learning. Obviously, yes, I'm doing all the masterminds and stuff with e-commerce. So you want to learn how to do everything online, and how to set up ads and Amazon and all that, whatever's in the e-commerce world. It's like a $7 billion trillion industry. So there's a lot of education and stuff in that industry. But um, I'm still doing a little old school, man. I still love face to face. I still love seeing people. I still love seeing people's emotions. And for me, I sponsor racing events through the whole Midwest, which is by us. But um, I want to see the kids come up with their parents. I want to see the parents come up and smile and say, "Hey, man, thank you for that shirt. That's awesome." And be that old school boss that, not say boss, but like there's an art of owners that disappeared where a lot of the owners just go in their office now.
Mm.
And I want to be that owner that people grew up with. If you go ask your parents, it'd be like, "Hey, the owner came and asked how my day is going. How's your kids? How are you doing? Can I help you with anything?" And
Actively connecting, yeah.
yeah, and I want to get back to that. I want to bring that back to the forefront. And if it's multi-billion-dollar company and we could still do that, obviously, yes, there's some growing pains. But for me, I want to be worldwide. I want to travel and be that person in the front that you could be sitting next to you on a plane, either first class or standard class, and you don't even know that they're multi-million dollars worth of business. Someone that's still humble and came from nothing. I grew up in a blue collar family here in the States here, guys, which is, you know, one makes 30 or 40 grand, the other one makes 50 to 60, and combined you're at that normal, union wage type stuff. And for me, I always drifted to the owners that were awesome. I always drifted to the owners that were a small base business. There's so much leverage here nowadays, guys. Like we said, we're leveraging Google and we're talking to someone in Australia.
Mm.
And if you're very efficient with your leverage and you pull the right levers, you can be very small on the staff, but also you can have virtuals to make sure the business is running. So I'm doing a lot of hands off stuff right now, but I'm learning the process. I'm learning shipping's a bitch, and I don't want to say it that way, but like shipping's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And as much as people would say suppliers, supply chain, um, it's still a key to have on hand inventory. It's still key to ship out. Someone orders today, and tomorrow morning it gets placed in the mail and UPS or nationwide, whatever it is done by you, and you get your product in a couple days. Domestically, and so I'm learning. Delays in the supply chain. I'm just the old school stuff that it's just business. That's what you run with any sort of service based business.
Yeah. With what I do basically business coaching, but I have quite a large sales and marketing background, so we dive in and we actually do a lot of the work in getting them started. Most of the people that we talk to are just starting either their first business or starting in a new industry that they haven't been in before. And I've worked with quite a few e-commerce brands now, whether they're just selling, whether they're just distributing products, or whether they're actually making their own brand. Worked with a couple of apparel brands, a couple of makeup brands, even like candle companies, and they all have the same problem in the sense that they have everything sorted out to an art. They launch the website, and every time they all have the exact same things go wrong. And sometimes there's no way to actually avoid it. You have to hit the problem and then find a solution, because sometimes the solutions are unique and they're not all the same. But yeah, there's always headaches, but there is always also, in the end, you figure out a system that works really well, and people you can't look at a system and just duplicate it when it's gone through so many iterations. So slowly but surely you're building something massive.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Continue. Yep.
In the industry, I'm thinking overall in e-commerce world, I think I've probably been in it for 3, 4 years. I started right when COVID lockdown occurred. What are we, almost 2.5, 3 years of what lockdown was? In the States, we're a little delayed just because at the time we had a different president, and I'm not going to get political, but they try to keep it open as long as they could just to kind of keep the economy moving.
Mm.
And so I started off on eBay and ended up going through Etsy. Obviously, now I'm in Amazon and Shopify. I know people that are successful on WooCommerce. I know people are successful on Wix. We can go through all the different brands. But with that, you still have to blend a little old school and new school.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning that, to be brutally honest, the people that are on the internet saying, "Hey, I drop shipped this in 2 days and it's to your place and all that," and I'm like, you guys are full of it, because my supplier, I can have a T-shirt anywhere from 4 to 7 days, and by the time it gets printed, shipped, cut, sent out, you're talking almost 10 days.
Mm.
And to me, I'm like, you can't do that. Like, you have to have some sort of local and inventory on you, which sucks. You got to learn the hard way, but honestly, not sucks, but it's a good thing because you learn a business. But in order to speed up that shipping, you need to balance both the old school and the new school, and
Mm.
you need to have, I know a handful of guys that have phenomenal multi-million-dollar apparel businesses, and one rents a huge storage facility, and you know piles and piles of inventory that he ships out. And the other one, I think, just opened, I think he said like 12 docks or bays or something. I don't know. He just jumped up to a huge commercial facility,
Yeah, wow.
and he's laying it out right now. But it's inventory in the back. Like, you order a shirt from him, he's got his own distributors, plus he's got his own supply, and he's like, yeah, that's the thing, is I want to give you a quality product as fast as I can.
Tell me about the book that you wrote. You said that you're bestseller.
Yeah,
Tell me about the book, and then I've got a couple of questions to follow up on with the book as well.
yeah, and it's so the book was, I gotta remember what it was. I think it was called Battle Word. It's been about a year. I don't even remember exactly what my book is, guys,
It's
but
on your website, right?
that is correct. Yes,
Cool.
it is. Hold on, it's actually on the other side. I haven't looked at it in a couple months. Hold on. We got the master copy here, guys. It's one where I have my notes in it. It is called Battle Warrior, which is my brand at the beginning. And this one is actually my struggles of how I overcame my addiction and living a purposeful life. Kind of takes multiple ways of doing it. So it's how I did it. And then, just like a lot of people had ghostwriters, there's certain chapters in here that I had a great publishing team that added in more psychology based on exactly what happens in your brain and all that stuff here. So it was a phenomenal collaboration with people behind the scenes that, with my own material plus their help, we created a master book, actually, how to overcome addictions. So the book is called Battle Warrior here, guys, and it's a book about myself winning the fight against addiction and living a purposeful life. Um, Obviously, yes, I'm a dyslexic person. I can barely comprehend what the hell's in a book. My learning style is physically put in my hand or visually, and have someone teach me first, and then I'll figure out my own ways to wrap around it and make it more efficient. But this is a story about everything in my past and how I overcame my addictions, how I created a new lifestyle, how I created vision boards, all that stuff. A lot of old school stuff I learned, and a lot of this is public just with everyday life. But the specialty of it is, you don't see much of it where people open about their dyslexia. You don't see much of it about how people open up their pornography struggles and obviously their alcohol addictions. And just like many phenomenal authors out there that are international bestsellers, just like myself, we had also, we all have people that throw in some extra work in there. And I want to give a shout out to my big publishing team. And I'm not even going to plug it. They just, guys, don't do it yourself. Like, give your material to everyone else and watch them how they make it shine. and they definitely made this project shine, adding a few extra layers in there to make it awesome. So I think I got to double check what my Amazon stats here, but I know I'm in um, I think 7 or 8 countries with it. And month and a half ago, I think we just sent some books out to Africa to help with some of the African schools with the fight against the addictions and meth and all that stuff that's over there. Trying to get into Ukraine because I know there's a huge issue with depression and war and all that stuff here. But it's a great starter book, and I don't want to use the term starter, but everyone has that first book where you kind of get out of the system and you learn the system, and the next one can make it better. Um, when my marathon is done here, I will be focusing on writing another one here, probably coming out late fall, early spring. I'm guessing probably January, February timeframe, which is early spring up here in the States. And that one's going to be more of a common sense, everyday, not kind of punching you in the gut, and just kind of give you a good basic everyday game plan to how I tackle life now. How do things that we were talking about earlier, but like creating the zone, finding the zone, focusing on the zone, creating game plans. Have a battle relationship with that inner animal, and these are just rough ideas that we're talking about, but it's in the basics. We're getting an outline going here, but like I said, I have a marathon this Sunday, so a lot of my past 3-4 months were 2.5 hours, 3 hours a night training. And by the time you get prepped up and go to bed and stuff, it's pretty much you wake up, you go to work, you train, you go back to bed. But I'm very eager and I'm happy to sit back down here in the next month or two to take some personal time. I'm a deer hunter. Go sit in the woods and just enjoy what God's creation is, and kind of refocus and recollaborate on a beautiful book here. So, yeah, that's going to be coming out, and another one in February, pretty much a year after this one came out. And I'm very eager to see what the beauty comes out of it. If it resembles anything like my logo back there, it's going to be like a back on black type cover, simple black and white. Just kind of keep it to the point, and like I said, Ford Mustang, or we call it 3/4 ton Duramax diesel, which is a Chevy truck. But you turn the key and you let the engine talk, and the engine drives everything. And for me, I want a book that I love what I did with my first one. It punched a lot of people. It takes a lot to absorb. It's going to be a long. I call this a slow burn. It's going to build, 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 build. The next one I want to just common day, every day, simple. You want to master your life, or not say master. You want to create a different life. This is what you do,
Yeah.
and go down more of the common sense, everyday professional development world that both of us are blessed to be in. And I want to build it to that person that is still blue collar, still that works every day, but just give them a taste of what the industry is like.
Create that intrigue in them. How did you get started in, like, when you started, when you decided you were going to write a book? What were the first steps that you took to actually get a publisher? I know you said you'd recommend going through a publisher rather than trying to do it yourself. I'd like you to touch on a little bit more specific why you would recommend doing that, and then how would somebody, say for myself, I'd love to write a book one day. I don't know if I'm doing it anytime soon, but say for example, if I wanted to write a book in say 2 or 3 years time, how would I approach a publisher, and what steps could I take to give myself the best chance to also maybe become a bestseller, or something along those lines?
Well, I'm gonna plug both my, not say both. I have great business relationships with two top notch publishers, and what it is I'm part of one mastermind group, which he's a lead publisher. I think he's got like 270 number one bestsellers of authors and people and states and all that stuff. And the one that did mine is a worldwide publisher, and they were huge in Africa, in Britain, and all that stuff. And I was one of the first few in the U.S. market that brought them in here. And what it is with that one is they're both great friends of mine. And it's one of those relationships that were built through, you know, my main publisher came through public speaking. The other one came through mastermind groups. So like I reached out to both of them. And what it is it's honestly what it is now is if you could record 4 to 5 hours worth of podcasts or just, vocal information, whatever it is, puke out the information in a recording, you can have, if you have 4 to 5 hours worth of recordings, you can have almost 20,000 words written down. The rule of thumb is 15,000 words is 110, 120 pages, and that's a book. That's actually a perfect book. You want them 95 to 110 pages. And when you look at the situation of that, speed is the number one thing. Everyone takes forever to write it, and I'm not joking on everyone. That's exactly what I'm like. It's going to take a year and a half, whatever. By the time I got it submitted to my publisher and out the door, I think the total time frame was like 2.5 months of having my main copy out to the publishers, and then they add their touch. And then obviously for me, the huge thing is tone. And I have relationships with the guys that are the middleman. And I told them straight up, I'm like, I want to nail that tone like a rock band, like AC/DC, where one lick of the chord, it's exactly AC/DC. And for me, I want to have that first page, 2, 3 pages, and understand that it's my voice talking. It's if you put me on a audio, people know exactly that's my voice and tone of the book. So for me, the nailing the tone took a little longer than expected, but from start to finish, I think it was like 2.5 months. And then we just waited to the release date just to kind of pick a day in the pipeline just to make sure, you're not overlapping with people's books and stuff that's in the system here. So publishers usually, they'll release a book once a month, twice a month, whatever it is. And what it is even though it's your book, and yes, you selfishly, you want it to go number one, you also don't want to steal the heat of the previous book. So if the guy that's your publisher is releasing the book, and it's scheduled to be a week before yours, give it a 3-week delay, 4-week delay, whatever it is. Because if you go bam this book, bam that book featuring the same person, you're going to dilute the first one and kind of offset and mess up the launch on both of them. So just make sure that spotlight is exactly on your project or that person's project. Make sure there's enough time where people don't get overstimulated on the release dates. And it's a word of mouth thing. So you get word of mouth, and then you get the Amazon magic, and all of a sudden you're like, holy cow, I'm Amazon bestseller across the whole world, and your world opens up. Make sure you have a game plan, and make sure it isn't puking in a book is the best way of saying it. But just make sure you have professionals do it. You're going to mess up. There's going to be spelling errors, but that's the cool thing about it. And that's the cool part about the tone and the art. And people that know me know I'm a perfectionist on certain things, and details aren't my strong point, except on things I love. And so for me, having a little errors at times in there, or misspelled or miscom or whatever it is, it just makes it that special.
Yeah, thanks for that, man. And I want to say a massive thank you for jumping on and having a chat today. There's so much more I'd love to chat about. So maybe we can set up for another podcast when your next book comes out. I think that would be awesome. And I'm going to so we can head to your website to get a copy of that book.
Yeah, you could do both. So guys, for the copy of the book, I have 2 different websites here. So any apparel related stuff, any blogs or any of that stuff with my personal business, it's battle-warrior-brands.com, which is my main business.
And we'll put all links down in the description as well.
Yeah. The book is actually currently on thechadmsmith.com. It needs to get updated. I haven't focused on that in a little, probably 4 or 5 months, but that is where you can find it. Otherwise, you can find it on amazon.com/battlewarrior. I haven't even checked. It's been a while since I've been on my KDP, which is the login for the book. But I know people are still on it. I know people found it because someone told me last week. They're like, "Hey, dude, I just bought your book." I'm like, "Awesome!" You just you get so much in the routine of just so focused on making yourself and your life great and trying to be better that you just become so tunnel vision at times. And it's a grateful thing. It's I want to give my guys hugs that buy my book and give them a signed copy. It's provide as much value and niceness and say thank you as much as I can. But at times you totally blank out and you totally forget about it just because you're so focused on something else.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention, that you wanted to plug before we head off and conclude the interview?
Yeah. So if you're in the States here, guys, I will be hitting the road come late November for shows for for my apparel battle warrior brands, which is UR More Movement. If you guys want to join the movement, go to UR More Movement on Facebook and join the group. Also, I do run a Battle Warrior podcast here, guys, which is hitting the 100th episode this next week, and we are looking at featuring people throughout the whole world. I'm losing my voice here again. We are featuring people around the world coming on talking about personal development, personal struggles, how they overcame it. I'm a little more saucier on the podcast at times. Like I said, I'm a Christian, but I also am a custom Christian. So I want as close to street as I can get it, so someone on the back street can grab it and go and learn. And we have a message for every age group. But yeah, we are hitting 100 episodes on the Battle Warrior podcast, which is worldwide, and bragging about my stuff here. So yeah, we got shows starting in November, December, rolling into spring, and then I do have a speaking engagement coming up here pretty quick in Los Angeles, I think, coming up in March. And then I know I have another speaking engagement here coming in October for a book launch. So we're already planning for the winter here, guys. Already planning a couple months in advance, and see when. Sorry, and seeing what next year brings for all this phenomenal projects, man. I go day by day, and I do have some future plans, but I focus on today. And yes, I love speaking engagements, and I have a blast doing it. But yeah, I usually take about 4 to 6 a year, and hopefully, I want to travel, man. So if you know people like every other week, let's go.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this interview. It's going to take me probably a couple of weeks to get it edited, but I'll get a copy sent over to you once it's out. Thanks heaps for the interview. I will get you back again once you write that next book, and we'll keep in contact as well and keep chatting because I want to know more about you and the success that you found. So
There's so many layers here to know about me, man. The best way of saying it is like I'm the Joker on Batman, man. There's so many cards and layers to the story, and I'm just grateful to wake up every day and do crazy stuff. It's got to live life uncomfortable, have fun with it.
absolutely, yeah, 100% agree. Awesome. Thanks very much, Chad.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.